An empath is really a narcissist who is in denial. And those terms, empath and narcissist, get thrown around like you'd throw around fairy floss at a fair. And why are they thrown around? Because deep down, somebody really just wants an identity, a validation for their feelings, a validation of who they are. And you might come across this in spiritual circles and online. You'll have forums full of people talking about their narcissistic exes and how empaths are vulnerable to narcissists. And deep down, what's missing in an empath is a sense of self. So what they do is they attempt to preserve their identity by making sure they don't upset somebody else, by calling themselves an empath and being ultra fragile, being a victim to the world at large, right? When you don't have an identity, when you don't have some way of expressing who you truly are, when you've spent your entire life not wanting to upset people, there's nothing there. You're a void. You're basically a mirror that's responding to your environment. And maybe you like that. Maybe you don't want to discover who you really are at the core, and that's fine. However, if you're presented with someone who's a narcissist, and keep in mind, there's no blood test for you to confirm if you're an empath. There's no biopsy that you can take to confirm that you're a narcissist. So these are just terms that are gathering a set of character traits under one label. So empaths get challenged by narcissists because they have an identity, they have beliefs, they have opinions, they have a way of expressing themselves that might be intimidating for an empath because an empath shies away from expressing who they really are. And both of these can be trauma responses. Both of these are a defense to preserve their dignity or ego as a child. So they become something else. And if you're someone who proclaims to be an empath, I check to see what you're denying. What are you denying of your wants and your needs? What are you afraid to express? What are you afraid to say yes to? What are you afraid to say no to? And instead, just complain that everybody else around you is a narcissist. And if you feel that you're narcissistic or a narcissist, hey, maybe there's some room here to open your heart. Maybe there's some room here to step into somebody else's shoes. And here's the kicker. There's a difference between empathy and compassion. In empathy, you can feel or attempt to walk in the other person's shoes. And then compassion, you distance yourself from what the person is going through. You don't become them and want to try and save them. You allow them to feel their emotions as themselves. So this can get confusing for an empath, in particular, when they will enmesh themselves in somebody else. Which is why empaths need serious help if they want to have relationships, because they just enmesh themselves in the other person's life. They become one with them, and underneath that is codependency. So if you're an empath and you find yourself continuously in codependent relationships and you need help, this isn't something that you can use crystals for or clean some chakras for or listen to a singing bowl. You need help, you need structure, you need relationship structure. What happens? How do they start? How do they finish? What's your contribution to the relationship failing? And you don't have to do this. You don't have to. You can go for the rest of your life assuming that you're an empath and everybody else is against you. And in that, you'll end up exhausted, you'll end up unfulfilled, and you'll be on your deathbed wishing that you'd spoken up for yourself.